Imagine you got to live your life all over again. What would you do differently? Most people are afraid to live life to the fullest. They fear that if they take a risk, if they go on an adventure, then something bad's going to happen and people are going to think poorly of them. And they won't be able to go back to the life that they have now. That belief holds us back. That's the main theme of Paulo Coelho's novel The Alchemist, which is about a shepherd in Spain called Santiago, who has a dream where he sees great treasure at the pyramids. And then he's sitting in a park one day on a bench and an old man starts talking to him, and that old man may or may not be a god, and he says, yeah, that's your destiny, you gotta go to the pyramids. So he sells all his sheep, he gets on a boat, he sails across the Strait of Gibraltar, and he lands in Morocco. And he goes to this bar where he starts talking to this guy, and the guy swindles him out of all of his money. So here he is in this foreign country, he's totally broke, he doesn't speak the language. What does he do? The story follows Santiago as he gets a job at a crystal shop, saves money for a year or so, and then joins a caravan, stops in this oasis town, meets the woman who becomes the love of his life, and then eventually goes on to Egypt. Along the way, a bunch of crazy stuff happens to him. He meets a bunch of crazy characters, he has a few setbacks, but he never loses sight of his main goal, which is get to the pyramids. The Alchemist is really a book about life, and it's a metaphor for the journey that we all have to go on. As the book says over and over again, one man's quest is the quest of all humanity. The Alchemist is full of great metaphors, and I want to touch on a few of them briefly here. The first of which is Santiago's sheep. Now, Santiago became a shepherd because he wanted to travel. But the problem with being a shepherd is you have to carry a bunch of sheep with you everywhere you go, right? You have to constantly watch over them. You can only really go to places that sheep can go. They weigh you down. Now, all of us have things in life that weigh us down, right? Whether they be our jobs, our kids, our material possessions, our families, our lives. And sometimes you have to keep those, right? Like you can't just get rid of your kids, but sometimes you have to abandon the things that weigh you down in order to pursue your destiny. This is really hard for most people, right? If you've got a good, cozy life, you've got food on your plate, you've got a place to sleep, it's hard to give that up for something totally unknown, right? It's hard to give up what you do know for what you don't know. Following your dreams takes courage. It takes a lot of courage, and sometimes it's hard to muster up that much courage. It's important to remember that if you have unfulfilled dreams, right, if you have something you've always wanted to do, or a life that you've always wanted to live that hasn't happened yet, you're always just one difficult decision away from starting down the road to that dream. As the book says, people are capable of, at any time in their lives, doing what they dream of. Another part I liked was when Santiago and the Alchemist are captured by thieves and bandits, and they're taken back to the thieves and bandits camp, and the thieves and bandits are going to kill them. And the Alchemist is like, no, this man is the wind, you can't kill him. And so the thieves and bandits give Santiago 3 days to turn himself into the wind. And Santiago says to the Alchemist, like, what, like I can't turn myself into the wind, what am I supposed to do? And the Alchemist says, set your mind to it, and you'll do it. And 3 days later, Santiago turns himself into the wind. Now obviously in real life you can't just turn yourself into the wind, but sometimes by giving yourself a really big, seemingly unattainable goal, you force yourself to level up your game, you force yourself to get better, you force yourself to concentrate. And as a result you end up pulling off the goal, and you feel like you've grown as a person. In fact, the psychologist Viktor Frankl used to, when his patients came to him saying, I'm depressed, Dr. Frankl, my life sucks, I'm miserable, he would give them a goal that was slightly out of their reach. And by pursuing that goal, they would actually feel less depressed because all of a sudden their life would be more meaningful. Another great metaphor in this book is the 2 drops of oil. So this guy goes to visit this wise man at the top of a mountain in this castle, and he gets to the castle and it's like beautiful, right? It's amazing, it's covered with priceless works of art, and he visits the wise man, and the wise man says, well, I have to tend to all of these people first. So I'm going to give you 2 drops of oil, and your job is to make sure they don't spill. So he tries really hard, and they don't spill, and he goes back to the wise man and says, look, they didn't spill. And the wise man's like, yeah, sure, but did you see any of the great works of art in this castle? Did you see any of the beautiful paintings? Did you see any of the sculptures? Did you, hang out in any of the stuff? And he's like, no, I was so concentrated on protecting the 2 drops of oil. The point of that story is, sure, we've all got work to do, and you got to do your work, but you got to stop and smell the roses every now and then too.
Life moves pretty fast. If you don't stop and look around once in a while, you could miss it.
The final metaphor in this book that I really loved was the books in the caravan. So when Santiago's in the caravan, he befriends this Englishman, and the Englishman spends all his time reading, right? He's on the back of his camel, and he's just reading book after book after book. And Santiago's not reading any books. He's just looking around and seeing what's going on. And they talk to each other, and they both realize that by not doing the thing that the other is doing, they're missing out on a lot, right? So Santiago could be learning a lot about the world by reading books, and the Englishman could be learning a lot about the world by just looking around and paying attention. So you cannot just read and you cannot just live. You have to combine both. The Alchemist is a book about life. Everybody has a journey to go on, and all of our journeys are different. At the same time, all of our journeys have quite a bit in common. Whatever journey you have to go on, reading The Alchemist will help you understand it better. So thanks for watching Theo's Book Club. If you're new here, my name's Theo. I make short videos like this one, breaking down the big ideas in the books that I read so that you can learn what I learned and so that you can decide, do I want to read this book for myself? If you enjoyed this video, I hope you'll hit the like button. That tells YouTube, hey, this was a good video, we should show it to more people. Also, you can hit subscribe if you want to see my smiling face popping up in your feed a little bit more often. And until next time, remember, it's not the destination, it's the journey. Have a great day.